unbeaten in 15 internationals, winning their last 7. And their last loss was in the Copa America final against Argentina. Germany, who suffered shock defeats in their opening games of this tournament. Serbia are ranked 25th in the world, but managed to qualify for this tournament without defeat. They are also blessed with an starting this evening. Despite this, the Serbs have never progressed to the knockout stages of the competition as an independent nation. The lineups in full. For Brazil, it's Alisson in goal. Danilo, Silva, Marquinhos and Alisson and Vinicius Junior lead the line. For Serbia, it's Milinkovic, Savic in goal. Pavlovic, Vajkovic and Milenkovic in the back three. Savic and Tadic supporting in Brazil and Serbia. Brazil are one of the favourites for the tournament and go into this fixture on a great run of form. The Selecao are unbeaten in 15 internationals, winning their last 7, and their last loss was in the Copa America final against Argentina in July 2021. However, they will be wary of suffering the same fate of Argentina and Germany, who suffered shock defeats in their opening games of this tournament. Serbia are ranked 25th in the world, but managed to qualify for this tournament without defeat. They are also blessed with an arguably equally impressive attacking force, with the likes of Aleksandar Mitrovic and Dusan Tadic both starting this evening. Despite this, the Serbs have never progressed to the knockout stages of the competition as an independent nation. The lineups in full. For Brazil, it's Alisson in goal, with Pequeno and Neymar in front of him. Rafinha, Richarlison and Vinicius Junior lead the line. For Serbia, it's Milinkovic, Savic in goal, Pavlovic, Vajkovic and Milenkovic in the back three, Mladenovic, Gudelj, Lukic and Zivkovic the midfield four, with Milinkovic, Savic and Tadic supporting Mitrovic up top. Not long until kick-off of this World Cup and go into this fixture on a great run of form. The Selecao are unbeaten in 15 internationals, winning their last 7, and their last loss was in the Copa America and Germany, who suffered shock defeats in their opening games of this tournament. Serbia are ranked 25th in the world, but managed to qualify for this tournament without defeat. They are also blessed with an arguably equally impressive attacking force, with the likes of Aleksandar Mitrovic to the knockout stages of the competition as an independent nation. The lineups in full. For Brazil, it's Alisson in goal, Danilo, Silva, Marquinhos and Alexandro in defence, Casemiro, the holding midfielder, with Pequeno and Neymar in front of him. Rafinha, Richarlison and Vinicius Junior lead the line. For Serbia, it's Milinkovic, Savic in goal, Pavlovic, Vajkovic and Milenkovic in the back three, Mladenovic, Gudelj, Lukic and Zivkovic the midfield four, with Milinkovic, Savic and Tadic supporting Mitrovic up top. Not long until kick-off of this World Cup Group G clash between Brazil and Serbia. Brazil are one of the favourites for the tournament and go into this fixture on a great run of form. The Selecao are unbeaten in 15 internationals, winning their last 7, and their last loss was in the Copa America final against Argentina in July 2021. However, they will be wary of suffering the same fate of Argentina and Germany, who suffered shock defeats in their opening games of this tournament. Serbia are ranked 25th in the world, but managed to qualify for this tournament without defeat. They are also blessed with an arguably equally impressive attacking force, with the likes of Aleksandar Mitrovic and Dusan Tadic both starting this evening. Despite this, the Serbs have never progressed to the knockout stage of the competition as an independent nation. The lineups in full. For Brazil, it's Alisson in goal, Danilo, Silva, Marquinhos and Alexandro in defence, Casemiro, the holding midfielder, with Pequeno and Neymar in front of him, Rafinha, Richarlison and Vinicius Junior lead the line. For Serbia, it's Milinkovic, Savic in goal, Pavlovic, the midfield four, with Milinkovic, Savic and Tadic supporting Mitrovic up top. Not long until kick-off of this World Cup Group G clash between in 15 internationals, winning their last 7, and their last loss was in Copa America final against Argentina in July 2021. However, they will be wary of some 25th in the world, but managed to qualify. Alexander Mitrovic and Dusan Tadic both starting this evening. Alexandro in defence, Casemiro the holding midfielder. For Serbia, it's Milinkovic-Savic in goal, Pavlovic, Vejkovic and Milinkovic in the back. Tadic supporting Mitrovic up top. Not long until kickoff of this World Cup Group G clash between Brazil and Serbia. Brazil are one of the favourites for the tournament and go into this fixture on a great run of form. The Selecao are unbeaten in 50. Argentina in July 2021. However, they will be wary of suffering the same fate of Argentina and Germany. To qualify for this tournament without defeat. They also blessed both starting this evening. Despite this, the Serbs have never progressed to the knockout stages of the competition as an independent nation. The lineups: defence, Casemiro the holding the line. For Serbia, it's Milinkovic-Savic in goal. Delj, Lukic and Zivkovic the midfield four, with Milinkovic-Savic and Tadic support. Underway for this World Cup clash between Brazil and Serbia. Brazil in their iconic home kit of the bright yellow shirts, playing from right to left as there's an early foul by Mitrovic going through Thiago Silva. We have free kick for Brazil in midway inside their own half. It gives me an opportunity to quickly run you through the lineups if you did miss them. In the defence, Casemiro, Pequeno and Neymar in the midfield three, Rafinha, Richarlison and Vinicius up top. For Serbia, it's Milinkovic-Savic in goal, Pavlovic, Veljkovic and Milenkovic in the back three, Mladenovic and Tadic up top. As there's a foul this time on the left-hand side for Serbia. Pavlovic bundled over by Rafinha. It gives me an opportunity to also introduce my co-commentator today is Ben White, and I think we're both feeling that although Brazil are one of the favourites for the tournament, that this should be an enticing and maybe difficult encounter for them.
Yeah, good evening, Will. I mean, obviously we started this day with the other two teams in this group playing off in
inside the Serbia half, but already real signs of danger for the Serbian defence, particularly from the pace that Brazil have on the wings.
Oh, and absolutely. The whole purpose of the back five that Serbia have deployed is just to get, well, obviously an extra defender in the centre, but it allows the fullbacks to be wider. But we've just seen Rafinha have so much space on that side. He got behind, and it wasn't the best with balls in the end. The three centre-backs just dropping deeper to get rid of it. But I mean, just if I was to compare it to the game just then between Portugal and Ghana, they stayed narrow to force Portugal out wide and get balls into the box, which didn't pay off. It'd be interesting to see how Serbia deal with this one. I mean, they'll try and come forward a lot more often than perhaps Ghana did in that first half. I like they are right now, for example. But just to go back on the point of Rafinha, he's finding a lot more space again on this side. Milinkovic-Savic does well to tackle him. But the wing back at the moment, Mladenovic, the number 25, he looked so advanced in that play, and Rafinha just found acres of space. So that's an interesting battle to keep an eye on.
Yeah, well, here is Mladenovic on the left-hand side with a throw-in for Serbia, just inside the Brazil half. Looking for some support further forward. Only really has Alexander Mitrovic in the way of movement. Eventually, the Fulham forward brings it down the chest, tries to immediately hammer it over to the opposite side, and does so, finding Zivkovic. His pass cut out, but he'll fall back swimming and finds Dusan Tadic. Will try and take on Thiago Silva, the two captains. Tadic gets towards the byline, quick feet. Only Mitrovic in support in the area. Eventually, he's getting a little bit more now. Tadic well held up, dangerous ball in, headed away by Casemiro. Will fall as far as Milenkovic. Moves over towards Vekovic. Now Pavlovic on the left. Opposition, and then that's poor play by Pavlovic. Pequeno is then fouled by the number 2, who then comes in through the back of Neymar as well. That will be a free kick for Brazil, and it looks like a yellow card is going to be shown as well. The first booking of the game there, Ben.
Well, it's a nightmare to get a yellow card 5 minutes in, not least against a team so attacking in what is such an attacking lineup for Brazil. I mean, if you're looking at it on paper, Paqueta's the one that's sitting deep, and then you got the 4 ahead of him as well. So it's going to be a nightmare for the Serbian defence. And yes, to already get a yellow card so early on, which really has to be careful for the rest of the game. He can't commit to as many fouls as he might want to. Let's say if later in the game, if Serbia were here and there, so he's going to be targeted now by the Brazilian attack for sure.
Yeah, I'd have to agree there. But from what I was at least trying to lip read from the referee, it looks like he was indicating that the first foul wasn't for the yellow card. It was maybe the speed and the way he came in for the second one afterwards. That's where the bookings actually come from, which based on how the initial play sort of played out, I can't really complain with the logic of the referee there, who today is Alireza Fergani. As our off-tube studio fixtures focuses in on the Serbian coach, Dragan Stankovic. I'm sure he'll be somewhat happy with how his side have reacted, at least, to that early chance from Rafinha. They've grown into this game more and more, had a fair bit of possession. Milenkovic-Savic, the goalkeeper here, with the goal kick, looking to spread that towards the left-hand side. It's deep. Coming towards Mitrovic, just a lovely cushion header down to find Sergej Milenkovic-Savic. He gets away from Marquinhos, but in the end, he just ran out of room. And Casemiro makes the clearance. Pavlovic's header, was he caught in the air by Richarlison? He might have been, but play on. Mladenovic then loses out. The clearance by Rafinha, don't think came off a man in red. See a replay here. I mean, Pavlovic is off the heel of Milenkovic-Savic. So throw in for Brazil on this near left-hand side. Serbia have done well to get in front of Neymar. And somehow Lukic, in holding off Neymar, had managed to take off Neymar's shirt, which is quite impressive, Ben.
But does he want Neymar to get a yellow card for taking his shirt off? It could be a tactical thing, but yeah, you don't see that so often, do you? Quite a bizarre one.
Here's Mladenovic, back towards Pavlovic. Away from Richarlison, Mladenovic goes back towards Vekovic, and the pressure comes in from Neymar. And he's saying this is going to be the key World Cup where his history will be made from. I'm not sure if I early 30s, Neymar. He's had a little bit of injury concerns during various World Cups. What have you made of his sort of legacy on the international stage, Neymar?
Winning penalty from that shootout against Germany, and whilst of course that may not be the competition that he wants to be, well, it's into the team try and get the ball away as desperately as possible. Goes towards the halfway line where Serbia can just find a bit of space on that ball after that little panic. Yeah, going back to Neymar, so he's got obviously the Copa America. He was responsible for the Olympic gold medal, at least. If that's what you might be alluding to, I don't know. Because it was more just the entire Brazilian team. Of course, he was so good in that 2014 World Cup, and he was injured before that match, wasn't he? I believe the injury came against Colombia in the quarterfinals.
Yes.
So as far as his image in Brazil, of course, it's still at a supreme level. And I think you're right in saying that this career will come to an end at some point. So you can't pick and choose when you might win the World Cup. So I'm going to give it a real go on this occasion.
Anywhere near any man and red, and was quite comfortably gathered by Alison Becker in the Brazil goal. It's Casemiro to find Richarlison, who skips away from one, easily helped. Keita came in late on Mitrovic, the toes of the Serb before swiping at the back of his heels as well. A double hitter. But here is Pavlovic for Serbia. A little under 11 minutes gone so far. Listening to off-tube studio commentary. Brazil 0, Serbia 0, still the current scoreline. Here's Milinkovic. Milinkovic-Savic trying to find Mitrovic, just squirmed away from the Fulham striker. Silva finds Marquinhos over towards the right-hand side now in Danilo. Back towards Thiago Silva, still trying to maintain the pressure with the possession. Which is then well tackled by Casemiro. It's Rafinha that does really well to recover. Play it back towards Danilo. 11, almost 12 minutes in then, and I've got to say it's a very, very even encounter.
It is, isn't it? Because after, what was it, about 2 minutes, Brazil sort of broke the line of Serbia, and you thought, well, maybe the weakness is already there. But since then, they've just looked so solid, and a lot of the action has been in the middle of the park, as seen by the fouls. You mentioned that Pequeno might have been lucky. I'm surprised that Alireza Fagani got his yellow cards out so soon, but then to not give it to Pequeno, maybe a bit of consistency. I would have rather that no yellow cards been given at an early stage, which some refs seem to give out. Brazil are going to see a lot more of the ball compared to yeah, they'll get into the final and get the vital tackle out in the end for get what was a vital touch in the end to take it out for a corner off the feet of Vinicius Junior. So even, but a few times now they're getting past the back line of Serbia.
Really agrees. The corner kick whipped in and it's punched away by the goalkeeper. Pace and fizz on it, and well, that might have been dipping underneath the crossbar, and well, the keeper couldn't take. Next corner kick to be taken as well. The referee just holds up play briefly to have a few words with the, well, almost trying to do his fellow countryman Douglas Luiz. into the back of the net.
I was just about to say that, Will. On one battle between Neymar and Milinkovic-Savic there. Because for the first corner, he saw the keeper was so far off his line. He's obviously learned his lesson almost. He's sat a bit deeper as the keeper. And he's getting caught out there. Just a bit of Brazilian ingenuity.
Yes, which they have in abundance, really. He's got at the age of just 30 years old. He's had a wonderful goal-scoring career in that regard, and he will, of course, be the danger man. Maybe playing in a position that he's sort of less prefers, in more of a central by Vinicius Junior himself. Has only ever actually got goal for his country in now 17 appearances. Find Mitrovic, and Serbia recover possession once more. Here's Strahinja Pavlovic going short towards Nemanja Gudelj. And Milinkovic-Savic once more over towards the right hand side in Tadic. Can Serbia kickstart an attack from the back? Struggling at the moment to find much headway forward. Brazil have done well to shut up shop in that respect. Gudelj goes towards Tadic, and Sandro forced him backwards. Then he surely fouls the Serbian man. It's actually Zivkovic that hit the deck there. Sandro just got slightly too close to his man, but they're hustling and harrying the Serbians at the moment, Brazil, and making things really difficult for Serbia to get anywhere near the penalty area, let alone create a chance.
Yeah, it's tough for Serbia. I mean, I'm sure they do want to get to the Brazil penalty area, but I think that maybe the priority at the moment is just to get a bit of possession in the game, and buying free kicks like that is exactly what they're going to want, just to slow the game. And we've mentioned that possession will fall in favour more with the Brazilians than it will the Serbians. So they do have the ball, Serbia. They're going to want to make it count, or at the very least, priority number one is to just not give the ball away. They've given away a free kick in their own half under challenge of Milinkovic from Vinicius Junior. He's going to be a handful as well. You mentioned that obviously Neymar's going to be playing more centrally. I suppose that's just because obviously you've got a far younger player now in Vinicius who's got abundance of pace. But with that experience, maybe you just need that sort of tactical nous in the centre of the field, and then you get the pacey wingers like Rafinha and Vinicius to run at the defenders.
Yeah, but all out Serbia in the form of Alexander Mitrovic. He's having a fantastic season with Fulham at the moment, and his goal-scoring exploits for Serbia, they're better than Neymar's, in fairness. 50 goals in 76 appearances. It's nothing to shirk at whatsoever. It's why he's keeping out the highly touted talents of Dusan Vlahovic and, of course, former Real Madrid and Luka Jovic off.
Fantastic striker, and that record speaks for itself. You'd argue that even outside of the numbers, it's just as impressive because, in theory, Serbia might not be as well glittered as a team like Brazil. And then you can argue, and I don't necessarily agree with, and there goes Neymar with a few roles, first of the World Cup, but and out for a throw-in for Brazil. Referee wave play on. Neymar is going to have a chat with the referee, still down on the deck. But just going back to that about Mitrovic, there's the argument always that in the European qualifiers, it's a tougher competition to get through compared to the CONMEBOL, which I don't necessarily agree with, but nevertheless, the opposition that Mitrovic has had to face, and he has that record through only the talent of himself. It's really, really remarkable.
Yes, as you mentioned, we have now seen the first of what's almost a trademark Neymar role of rolling, having more roles than a bakery, really. I think I counted about 5 there from Neymar.
I can't remember the number it was in that 2018 one, but I think it had reached 7 or 8.
Yes.
It was a record-breaking one, no doubt.
Here is Thiago Silva for the Seleção, moving it towards Pequeno on the towards Silva spreads it towards Alexandro on the left. So Serbia keeping their shape rather than looking to press from this game. Listening to unofficial off-tube studio commentary. Brazil 0, Serbia 0. Further forward, the Juventus fullback now finding Vinicius Jr. on the left. Holds on to the ball well, goes back towards Neymar. He might shape up to go for goal from long range. Does it? Cannons into the side of Velkovic as the Brazil still have possession, granted on their own halfway line at this moment in time. Zacharshin is back onto his feet and has slowly made his way back onto an onside position. Is Marquinhos for Brazil. Over towards the right now in the form of Danilo. Marquinhos again, this time finding support for Rafinha. Take on Zivkovic. Is it back towards Casemiro? He might shape out to go for goal as well. He's got a good shot. And Casemiro stung the hands of the goalkeeper, who did drop it initially there, Milinkovic-Savic, but thankfully took enough sting out of the shot to make sure that it didn't rebound.
About does enough, doesn't he? They're trying a few shots from range because Neymar tried one only about a minute ago. There's a bit of variety in Tise's tactics at the moment. He'll be happy with what he's seen so far. They haven't got that goal at the moment, but they've seen a lot of the ball. They've really prevented Serbia from trying to advance towards their own penalty box. But having said that, here comes Serbia.
Yes, here they come indeed. There's the opportunity for Tadic. Away from Vinicius, but his pass is then well blocked by the Brazilian forward. That was good tracking back by Vinicius Jr. He'll pick up possession here from Alexandro. Looks for support. Wants to go Neymar, but doesn't have the required movement. Then runs straight into traffic. Looks left, finds support in Mladenovic. Back towards Goodell. Once again, Brazil have done well to get players back behind the ball and just keep their shape. Actually go all the way back towards Milinkovic-Savic once more, and Serbia will have to try and recycle possession from their defensive third. We are now at the halfway stage of this half-time.
Thank you, Will. Yeah, still goalless in this one. Half-decent chances for Brazil. It's worth mentioning that we already have had 4 goalless draws in this World Cup competition. There was only 1 in the 2018 edition, 7 in the one before that, which was hosted, of course, by Brazil. Might be on track for beating that one as well. Of course, the previous game between Portugal and Ghana did go 65 minutes without a goal, and then we saw 5 in the last half an hour. In a World Cup that has already had plenty of surprises, we can be guaranteed of absolutely nothing. Throw-in taken by Serbia, given away, but given away then cheaply further by Lucas Paqueta. Goes on to the far side of the Serbian defence with Mladenovic into Sergei Milinkovic-Savic. Pressed well by Rafinha and Danilo. In the end, it's Marquinhos, almost in a right winger position that pressed Pavlovic. he tries to shield it out for a goal kick, which they just about get away with it on Serbia. They made a meal of it, really. But I think it's full marks to Brazil there, because Marquinhos was so far advanced, far out of his centre-back position, really. Just showed the desire to get the ball back in what does seem like a real high press from Brazil.
Fear in the eyes of this back three of Serbia. They're getting caught one-on-one on a few occasions, and thankfully the physicality of the Serbian side at the moment for them is holding firm, but they just need one ball over the top or through the middle, and the pace of this Brazil attack in particular, not just the wingers, but just in that front three, and the likes of Pequeno and Neymar and the wing backs as well, could cause so many issues for this Serbian defence. They have to be careful, and they've got to remain rigid.
Of course, these two teams are no strangers to each other. They did face one another in the last World Cup back in Russia. On top in that fixture, winning beating Serbia by 2-0. So comes out and claims the ball at the second time of asking. He did spill it under the pressure of his own player then in the end with Danilo. Ball crashing off his back once Alisson was in possession. Rare opportunity forward for Serbia. And the height for that lone striker of Alexander Mitrovic. Of course, mentioned earlier, there are plenty of attacking talent with Serbia. Look at Luka Jovic, who I've lost his way in recent years. Of course, he had that loan spell. Well, he's currently on loan at Fiorentina. He had a loan spell back at Eintracht Frankfurt, where he originally burst onto the scene before his move to Real Madrid. Dusan Vlahovic, of course, who turned to move away from Fiorentina to Juventus. There's a lot of options at the disposal of the Serbian manager for this tournament. That defeat 4 years ago. Goal scorers incidentally were Paulinho. Of course, he's no longer in the south this evening. Here he is on the ball, giving out wide to Danilo. So much depth. I think if you were to ask a Brazilian, for example, or anyone that watches them so often, one of the weakest positions in their squad, maybe at both fullbacks. Because of course Danilo and Alexandro, he's on the other side, sort of towards the end of their career. They're very talented fullbacks in their own right and in their prime. But there doesn't seem to be someone of a young age that is coming up to replace the likes of, well, Dani Alves, who coincidentally he's in the squad with Pumas of Mexico. He's not had the best of seasons there either. He was at Sao Paulo before that. Marcelo, he's I don't think he's even played a minute for Olympiacos, and they might release him due to a lack of fitness. So fullback seems an issue for Brazil at the moment. There's a through ball made by Thiago Silva, looking for Vinicius Junior. Milinkovic-Savic does brilliantly to smother that one away from the Real Madrid winger. Not only that, but to then run before Neymar to thump it clear for a Brazil throw-in. They'll take it quickly. Will Neymar looking... Alexandro is there as an option. They're going to earn a free kick in a dangerous position here. I think in the end it was Milinkovic who was in the shirt of Neymar. He's already had it off his back once, nearly for a second time. He's remonstrating with the referee, Alireza Fagani. Well, obviously his opinion against that free kick. It's a wonderful through ball from Thiago Silva. Just looking at our replays there. Brilliant goalkeeping from Milinkovic-Savic in the end.
Yeah, it's fantastic goalkeeping, and he's done really, really well to get there in front of Vinicius Junior. But the offside trap attempted by the Serbian back three was absolutely atrocious. Vekovic tries to come forward without realising Pavlovic behind him is about 2 yards, but playing on Vinicius Junior there. And then no communications ever given to Milenkovic on the far right hand. They were really bailed out by their goalkeeper there.
Well, flat back five are going to be helped out by some midfielders and forwards whilst they defend this set piece. I think there's a line of 7 at the moment trying to combat Brazil attack. Take a short. Neymar back into Rafinha. A chance to look towards the back post. It goes far beyond the back post. Straight out for a throw-in on the far side. There's ironic cheers from the Serbian crowd from that one. A wasted opportunity by Brazil. It gives me a chance to finally ask for your thoughts on the fullback scenario with Brazil that it just seems that there isn't anyone up and coming for them at the moment.
Yeah, and to be honest, I never really thought about that until you brought it up. I really can't think of anyone that's going to sort of suitably fit in there, unless they've got some up and comers maybe in the Brazilian leagues, where there's always a plethora of talent to be picked at by other than the issue. Because for maybe the last 15, 20 years or so, possibly even longer than that, they've had one of, if not both, of the best fullbacks in the world. Obviously, you've got like Dani Alves and Marcelo. Before that, Roberto Carlos and Cafu. It's been a position that they've always found great talent in. Carlos Alberto, if you're going even further back. But nowadays, after the likes of Alexandro and Danilo, which, in all fairness to them, aren't in the same league, maybe convert some wingers into wing backs and maybe change their formation into a back three, so they don't have to play full backs and can still keep some attacking players going forward. But it's definitely going to be a real issue in the tournaments to come for them, and it could be an area that teams really look to try and exploit them for.
Long ball from Casemiro, looking for Rafinha. He heads it into a dangerous position. There, Velikovic in the end does enough to clear it out for a corner. But once in a generation, really, for Brazil, and they get so many all at once. It's quite remarkable. Of course, Will did mention that all these players, of course, will have come from the Brazilian League, a league that is so full of talent. There's only where Thiago Silva, of all people, was acting as the poacher, just out of reach of his studs. Any touch on it really could have collects it calmly. He's offloaded it quickly to Dusan Tadic. In fact, it was Zivkovic in the end who goes down. Referee sees to just give away a throw-in on the halfway line, which Brazil will take quickly. The ball might have just gone out for a throw-in. So that pass was made by Neymar. It's worth mentioning one of the most remarkable statistics, if we are going to mention so many in this coverage, is that Brazil have appeared in every single World Cup in the tournament's history. Of course, going into this one as one of the theoretical favourites, perhaps alongside Argentina, who of course had a huge slip-up in their opening match against Saudi Arabia, just proving that nothing is absolutely certain in this World Cup. But they had a fantastic qualifying campaign. They remained unbeaten in all 17 of their matches, winning 14 of those, drawing 3. They, of course, only played 7 match. Comically was cut short after, I think, 5 minutes, when health officials came on to say that Argentinian players would not be allowed to take part in the game on Brazil territory during the COVID pandemic. But given that both teams already qualified, they didn't feel the need to play the game, and to be honest, I'm quite happy with that.
Premier League based, or at least, or maybe just left, because I'm not sure if Lascelles, so he was one of the players, had just gone from Tottenham to Villarreal at that point. But yeah, it was a real comical farce, that entire palaver, really. But it was always going to be quite comfortable for both Brazil and Argentina to progress into this World Cup, and like you say, to have qualified for every single edition of this tournament is a very impressive feat. To lead his side into 2 consecutive World Cups since the 80s. So it just shows maybe this Brazilian manager job is almost the equivalent of managing Chelsea in the Abramovich era. If you're not going to win us the title, then you're gone. It shows how much Brazil, or sorry, how much football
that match between Brazil and Argentina. It kept both of their unbeaten records intact. Of course, Argentina's came to perhaps a surprising end when they did lose to Saudi Arabia. It was a 36-match unbeaten run that could not advance further. The record, of course, is with Italy, just only a year ago, achieved with 37. Argentina was so close to overtaking that one. The best Brazil could have get to the 1-2 between the two of them. Ex-lead swinger and the current there's brilliant link-up play between the two of them, but a poor finish in the end.
By far and beyond the best bit of football that we've seen in this game. Great one too between Rafinha and Pepe. Maybe, probably not, but for a player of Rafinha's quality, he's got to be doing better there. He doesn't hit a shot with any real conviction. It's that was done in the first place. It deserved far more than the ending that we got, but it's at least something else to write down. It's only the third sort of meaningful shot that I've got written down. Everything going towards Brazil's way at the moment. Serbia really struggling to test this Brazilian defence and Alisson in the Brazilian. They're not really testing Milinkovic-Savic in the Serbian goal either.
No, attacking-wise, it's been slow. I suppose in the balance of play, it's been assured by Brazil at the moment. They do look relatively comfortable, albeit with the scoreline still at 0-0. Mentioned that they have appeared in every World Cup. Of course, having the most World Cup titles to their name with 5. It's a surprise, really, to consider that they haven't reached World Cup final since 2000. I mean, you look back at 2006 and they fell against France. 2010, 2014, of course, that one against Germany. 2018, losing to Belgium. Where do you rank their opportunity of reaching to a final for this one?
Well, I would say that, well, obviously they're touted heavily as one of the favourites, and even though they haven't appeared in a final since 2002, I think I'm right thinking they're the last World Cup winners to have not been eliminated from the following tournament's group stage, which based on how they performed in their opening game, France are likely to avoid that feat this time around. I think with their run-in, it's going to be an interesting one for who they actually come up against, because based on the opening shocks that we've had, I should say, they might actually have an easier run to the final than maybe previously predicted. So I think with how these early results are going, if they could beat Serbia today, I would heavily expect them to get semi-finals as a bare minimum, but they realistically should be in the final.
Serbia, one of the rare entrants into the final third of Belgium. It's a good spell of possession, really, for the European side. Far side is Pavlovic. Acres of space to try and run out. That's Rafi. The UEFA World Cup qualification, unbeaten as well. But compared to the likes of CONMEBOL, I think Brazil, well, of course, it's 18 matches if that Brazil and Argentina match wins ahead. For Serbia, they only had to play 8 games, but they won 6 of those, including, of course, what was a very crucial match in the final match day by defeating Portugal to finish top of their group and avoid having to go into the playoff, which of course Portugal then needed to do. They needed to end up beating North Macedonia. So it was a really impressive qualification campaign for Serbia in what was quite a tough group.
6 to 8 years or so, I'm beginning to see. This is definitely very beneficial from a worldwide football point of view, is that the group stages now are less obvious what's going to happen. You normally think with how the groups go, all right, England are going to finish top and Andorra finish bottom of their group, because they always seem to come across, or maybe San Marino, your France's, your Germany's, your qualified for a fair few. Some of these sort of lower to mid range teams are like the higher groups. Think of the Nations League, for example, how put Portugal down level, and it might mean that in the future we're not thinking of these stereotypical big sides because they've got like maybe the best leagues, but they're maybe not the
World Cup was no small part due to the goals scored by Alexander Mitrovic. I'll continue that in a second because Pequeno fizzes the ball in, looking for Richarlison. Velikovic does just about enough to clear it in the end, and there's a chance for Serbia to come on the counter-attack here. They've not got many men forward. Full credit to Brazil, really, because they've clambered back, I think, at 8 or 9 of the outfield players. And Mitrovic have already been waxing lyrical with 8 goals. Vlahovic is second best with 4. They didn't have who had nearly 3 times as many as 15 separate scorers for the Canarinho. Individual talents that Serbia have, but there we go. We're at the World Cup with 2 teams
of the attacking talents that Brazil didn't bother taking, the likes of Roberto Firmino, Mateus Cunha, Felipe. I mean, Brazil are always blessed with fantastic. Junior comes forward, he gets a shot away, goes out for a goal kick. It was a bit of a defensive howler from Serbia this time around. Vinicius, I think, is appealing for either a corner or penalty, not sure which. Was Milenkovic that was caught out. I think he actually makes a clearance into his own face before.
There's another question. I think it did in the end, allowing for a scuffed opportunity that goes past the post of Serbia's keeper. He launches it forward, looking for his brother. The ball into the box, looking. In the end, the referee might have given a free kick for Brazil. And Thiago Silva, Alexander Mitrovic making a nuisance of himself in this lineup. As I mentioned, the keeper and Sergei Milinkovic Savic Vanya is his brother, both born in Spain. 2020. Enough to but apart from that, I can't think of any others.
No, nothing that's sort of glaringly obvious. Obviously, of Jerome and Kevin Prince Boateng for Germany and Ghana, and I think at the Euros you had the two. It's always great to see. Very, very proud.
Well, it's a good thing you just mentioned that the Curry brothers representing different nations, because of course you've got Iñaki Williams for Ghana.
Yeah.
Nico Williams, who of course came off for Spain in what was a thumping 7-0 victory.
Just to clarify, not the Nico Williams for Wales.
Oh, of course. Represents Lazio and has been a standout player. In Serie A for so many years. This is a bet.
It should be a corner. I thought Rafinha overran that. personally, and it looks like that's what's happened. It's going to be a goal. But Savage, then he'll make up a lot of ground very easily, and I think it really limits.
They did only concede 9 goals from 8 matches, scoring 18 in the process. Managed to have a good Zuze A. Weren't exactly on the same wavelength of open territory on this near. Let's get the ball back this time from Alexander. There's another man that made a summer transfer, Rafinha, moving from Javi Hernandez. Good interception from Godelia. Serbia's number 8 is to, well, more of a surprise that only 1 minute, of course, has been added on. I mentioned in the previous game, of course, Pierluigi Collina has made it very clear they want to add on a kick goal celebration as well, which is why we've seen.
I somewhat agree with Pierluigi Collina's thought process there, because there is a lot of unnecessary time wasted, which means they're not really playing the 90 minutes. I think.
So surprised in previous years to see 5 or 6 minutes. I don't know. Now we're surprised to see 1 minute. But anyway, that 1 minute passed very quickly in a half that hasn't seen too much action. Maybe the best for Brazil, but Serbia are looking very tight at the moment. At the break, it's Brazil 0, Serbia 0.